For over a century, the United States has held a dominant position in the world, economically, militarily, and culturally. It's been the epicenter of global power, an era of influence that's shaped everything from international finance to pop culture. But as the 21st century unfolds, questions loom. How long will the US remain on top? And what are the forces that could bring this dominance to an end? Picture the world in 1945. The US stood victorious after World War II, a beacon of economic power and military might. With half of the world's GDP and unmatched industrial capacity, it became the global leader, setting the rules of the game for decades to come. This dominance only grew through the Cold War and the rise of globalization, but every empire has its peak and its decline. Is the United States now on that inevitable downward slope? Before we answer that, let's look at the real critical challenges facing America's future, and why some believe its time at the top may be running out. First up, economic instability. The US has long enjoyed its status as the world's largest economy, but cracks are beginning to show. National debt has surpassed $33 trillion, growing faster than ever with no signs of slowing down. The pandemic only amplified this debt, creating a situation where the government borrows at unsustainable levels just to cover essential spending. And while the US dollar has been the global reserve currency, it's starting to face challenges. Some nations, like China and Russia, have initiated moves to trade outside the dollar system. And when emerging economies begin to look elsewhere, the dollar's dominance could falter. Without its reserve currency status, the US would lose the privilege of being able to print money to solve its problems, leading to higher inflation and potentially even economic collapse. The second reason, political division and social unrest. For a country to thrive, it needs unity, or at least a sense of common purpose. Yet the United States today is more divided than ever. In recent years, political polarization has reached new extremes, making it difficult for the government to address major issues. Social issues like race, inequality, and freedom of speech are tearing communities apart. The 2020 election and the January 6 Capitol riot demonstrated just how fragile American democracy can feel, and while other countries watch, they see the United States grappling with issues that threaten its very stability. Without a common vision, the political paralysis in Washington undermines the country's ability to lead effectively on the world stage. Lastly, let's talk about global competition. For decades, the United States has been unchallenged in its influence, but that's changing. China, in particular, is rapidly emerging as an economic and military powerhouse, with a clear strategy to expand its influence worldwide. Through its Belt and Road Initiative, China is investing in infrastructure across Asia, Africa, and even Europe, strengthening trade routes and gaining economic influence in nearly every continent. In technology, China's advancements in AI, 5G, and even space exploration are now challenging the United States directly. Meanwhile, Russia is leveraging its energy resources to influence Europe and disrupt NATO alliances. As these nations grow stronger, the United States faces the risk of losing its leading edge. If other countries turn to China or Russia for global leadership, America's dominance will inevitably wane. So, how much longer can United States dominance last? The answer isn't simple. While the United States is still incredibly powerful, these issues, economic strain, political division, and rising competition, are serious threats. And as we know from history, every great empire eventually declines. The United States may still have time, but that time may be slipping away faster than we realize. But here's the twist: the outcome isn't inevitable. The United States has reinvented itself before and could do so again. It could stabilize its economy, bridge social divides, and innovate its way back to the top. The real question is, will it? Or are we witnessing the beginning of the end of an era? The world is watching, and so are we. If you're interested in how these forces continue to unfold, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. We'll be following this global power struggle closely.